All right, everyone. So hello and welcome to the Education Equity for Neurodiverse Students at the 2024 CU Boulder Disability Symposium. My name is Gavin Laing, and I have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Liz Cohn, Leif Schaefer, Brian B., Autistic Artist Advocate, and Dylan Fair for today's session. I'm a white male who is 5'7" with brown hair and a beard wearing a green sweater. The University of Colorado Boulder is hosting the Disability Symposium to acknowledge that more work must be done to improve inclusion of persons with disabilities on the Boulder campus. Efforts to improve inclusion must focus on students, staff, and faculty. The 2021 CU Boulder Campus Climate Survey Report, which was released in April of 2022, found that 44% of undergraduate students and 47% of graduate students reported experiencing incivility in the prior 12 months. For students with disabilities, these numbers climbed to 54% and 62% respectively. The symposium is a springboard to continue campus-wide conversations on how each of us can improve inclusion on the campus and improve support for all persons with disabilities. At this time, the symposium organizers would also like to take a moment to issue the CU Boulder Land Acknowledgement. The University of Colorado Boulder, Colorado's flagship university, honors and recognizes many contributions of Indigenous peoples in our state. CU Boulder acknowledges that it is located on the traditional territories and ancestral homelands of the Cheyenne, Arapaho, Ute, and many other Native American nations. Their forced removal from these territories has caused devastating and lasting impacts, while the University of Colorado Boulder can never undo or rectify the devastation wrought on Indigenous peoples. We commit to improving and enhancing engagement with Indigenous peoples issues locally and globally. We will do this by recognizing and amplifying the voices of Indigenous CU Boulder students, staff, and faculty and their work, educating, conducting research, supporting student success, and integrating Indigenous knowledge, consulting, engaging, and working collaboratively with tribal nations to enhance our ability to provide access and culturally sensitive support, and to recruit, retain, and graduate Native American students in a climate that is inclusive and respectful. All right, with that said, I would like to pass it on to Dr. Liz Cohn.
Thanks. Did you have to plan what you were wearing before you wrote the intro?
I did, yeah. Yes.
All right. So welcome. Thank you guys for being here. I'm Liz Cohen. I'm a psychologist in developmental pediatrics at Children's Hospital, Colorado. And I'm accompanied today by Leif Schaefer, Dylan Fair, and Brian B. And I will acknowledge that I am standing here, the only one standing up here who does not have a diagnosis of autism and does not identify as neurodivergent. And I think that's very important to recognize. Leif, you very kindly once called me a poser.
Yes, kindly. That's the right word for that.
Which I do think is quite accurate. In developmental pediatrics, there are a lot of wonderful faculty members, my colleagues, who I think have very expert training, but we are in no ways expert
on the experience.
On the lived experience, yes. And so I'm so thankful to my panel of experts today to really not even accompany me, but take the lead here on this presentation to talk about how we think about intersecting identities in the classroom.
Yeah. Also, I think you know this by now. If we start to ramble too long, please reel us back in.
We'll do that.
I will not do it myself.
I will do it. I'm good at that. So just a little background here about the neurodiversity movement. I built these slides before I knew Temple Grandin was the keynote speaker last week. But this movement has actually been going on for quite some time. It started in the late 1990s, but I feel like really has become more mainstream in the last decade. I would even say like last 5 to 6 years, it's really been kind of the mainstream mindset when it comes to thinking about neurodiversity. And that word just means that we're talking about the brain and we're talking about differences. So the different variables that make up what the brain is able to do and does. And the neurodiversity movement really asserts that all kind of human variation is natural and valuable and lovely and wonderful and should be celebrated. Temple Grandin, I really think, was one of the kind of like pioneers of the neurodiversity movement, and coined this phrase, "the world needs all types of minds," which I think is something we have been kind of falling into line in a more and more mainstream way over recent years. So what is considered neurodiversity? There's a big umbrella of terms that can fall under this one label, but it's a word that's used to explain unique ways people's brains work. I think there are different kind of collections of people under this umbrella who may have feelings one way or another about how neurodiversity is used, but really is one big term to kind of think about all different brain variations.
Yeah, when I was like in middle school, I was told neurodiversity is sort of any sort of mental health, like, for lack of a better word that I can think of, like deviation. So that includes things like anxiety and depression. So I considered myself neurodiverse far before I got an autism diagnosis. And later I heard neurodiverse being more anchored towards developmental and motor and other sort of disorders and disabilities of those kinds.
You said it beautifully. So I think there are different ways you can use this word. But current estimates suggest that 15 to 20% of our population are considered neurodivergent.
And there's probably more that no one knows about.
100%.
Also, I apologize for this. She insisted I keep this.
I think it's great. So this slide is here to highlight kind of some of the differences I think that have happened in the field of psychology. It's not embarrassing.
Yes,
great.
it is.
As we have embraced the neurodiversity movement, so specific to autism, there's been a real move away from the use of the puzzle piece. Does anyone in the room, are you familiar with that? Okay. Leaf, why do we hate the puzzle piece? Or Dylan, why do we hate it?
Because it's in a way showing that something's missing or you're trying to fit in.
Lovely. Yeah, so I think traditional therapeutic approaches in the world of psychology really thought of neurodiversity as a flaw. It was something that needed to be corrected or fixed. There was kind of a focus on developing behaviors to make individuals look more neurotypical, whatever that means. So it promoted a lot of what we know now as masking behavior, which is not really the focus any longer. So now, through kind of more neuroaffirming therapy approaches, we're really thinking about celebrating these unique qualities through understanding differences, collaborating with individuals to develop treatment goals that are relevant to their goals for their individual life, and working to address disability by approaching ability. And part of that is really recognizing that disability as an idea is really contextually defined. So if I went to China and didn't speak Mandarin, I would have a communication disability in that environment. But when I'm back here in the States and can speak English fluently, I really am quite good at communicating. So that's really defined by the environment that I'm in and not something that lives within me that is inherently disabled.
And that's also technically not a developmental disability more than it is just dialect.
Right, thank you. It was just an so now we are really trying to kind of change our therapeutic approaches to really be more collaborative and recognizing that we are not trying to make autistic people less autistic or more like normal people or whatever has been said in the past, because that is no longer our goal. Ew, stinky.
Why'd you make me keep that?
The infinity symbol, the rainbow infinity symbol, has been kind of adopted by the neurodiversity community as its icon. I also have heard that the autistic community in particular has used a gold infinity symbol to represent their group within the neurodiversity spectrum.
Because the element on the periodic table of elements, the symbol for gold is AU.
It's the best. It's just the most autistic reason to choose that, which I love.
Fun fact about gold, it's the most malleable metal.
Yeah, which is why Olympic gold performers buy it to see if it's real gold.
Interesting.
And silver's the most conductive.
We have not rehearsed this, and I just learned that for the first time. So thank you, guys.
I have a lot of fun facts about super materials.
I know that about you. All right, so
Wait, that was, oh, okay.
I'm going to let you take it over.
All right. Oh,
Yeah.
wow, you're really going through
Sorry,
it.
I just was making sure we're oriented. Okay, all you.
So, you've already heard my name a couple times, but I'm Lee. I'm 20 years old and I use all pronouns. I have autism spectrum disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, social anxiety disorder, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, agoraphobia, and didascalenophobia, which is the fear of school. Yeah, that's a mouthful, I know.
Hi, you've probably heard my name a couple times. I'm Dylan, as in Bob Dylan. I'm 19 years old. I use he, him pronouns. I'm on the autism spectrum, but I also have ADHD and depression.
Hey, Brian B, like, be who you are, autistic artist advocate. AAA, baby.
I noticed the shaka.
Shock up,
Bonus points for vocabulary right there. Who else knew the word shock? You just informed the room, thank you.
It's funny, the first time I heard it was in The Sims 3 Island Paradise, and at first I thought it said Shake Bra, and I was like, what the heck is that? I'm so sorry. All right.
Back to our regular
Back to our regular
program.
schedule. All right, I do want to start with my part, a small breathing exercise called square breathing. Square breathing, or at least the way that I do it and I was taught, is inhaling for 4 seconds, holding for 4 seconds, exhaling for 4 seconds, holding again for 4 seconds. So be sure to inhale slowly through your mouth, and you can exhale through your mouth or nose, you choose. I want to do this 5 times real quick. So can people see my hand? All right, let's start now.
Inhale for 4. Pause for 4. Exhale for 4. Pause for 4.
I think this is the last one.
And exhale.
All right. So now that we've taken a moment to ground ourselves, we can continue with the presentation. And one real quick final thing I want to say, if you, all of you in the audience, need anything, let us know or make yourselves comfortable. So do that now or during the presentation. It's fun. Take care of yourself.
Gavin, can we check in with our online people? They can hear us, they can see us.
I have been adjusting some audio, but I think that it is starting to get better as it's getting used to the environment, I think.
Okay.
Well, I'm good at projecting my voice too, so.
Yes, thank you. That'll be necessary.
You
I
should
think.
hear my sister.
Oh, yeah.
Folks
I can
in
hear her
person-
through industrial earplugs.
Yep.
Folks in person, feel free to do, like I noticed Lynn is standing, so that makes me think of a song. And, take care of yourself, stay hydrated. Do what
Speaking
you
of
gotta do.
hydration.
Yeah.
Is it I saw her standing there? I saw her stand.
Don't worry, this is green tea.
Thank you. Now I have a couple in the queue.
Okay.
Yeah, stretch, whatever's good on you, or talk to us.
All right.
If you'd like to
Personal
adjust something we
experiences?
present.
Yeah. So I'm going to go into personal school experiences. We're all gonna talk about them, but I'm going first because apparently I'm the main character. So you can do one more slide, excuse me. I had severe issues with school from middle school all the way up to when I ultimately dropped out of high school. There was a lack of counselors and none of them worked full-time. Many of my teachers treated me terribly because of my poor performance, and I was given accommodations as part of an IEP that were not honored or worse, revoked without a proper meeting. And that is incredibly illegal. It is required by law to allow and honor the usage of any and all accommodations a student may have. And had I known that back then, I would have brought it up. So if you or someone you know is having issues with their IEP, say it's not being honored or something, bring it up. It is a legal issue. My peers bullied me because of my issues, and I became scared of both the students and some of my teachers. Said teachers would force me to ignore my IEP rights, as I said, humiliate me in front of the class, and even threaten me. I was so stressed that I couldn't sleep at night, and I would barricade my door in hopes my parents couldn't bring me to school. I felt hopeless and became suicidal, and I had close to no help. Had my parents not stepped in on behalf of me and the other special needs students, I can almost guarantee I wouldn't be alive today, and I cannot overstate that enough. These problems continued into high school. I ended up switching through 3 schools because of them. The first school had very high expectations for credits. On top of the core subjects, physical education and art credits were required. I was overwhelmingly stressed about being able to achieve such lofty expectations, especially considering I dropped a lot of classes. The school was overcrowded, and I was too anxious to attend classes most of the time. The second school had little issues because it was solely dedicated to special education and students with mental health issues, but the third and final school treated me as lazy and uninterested when in reality I was overworked and overwhelmed. My academic support teacher treated me like a baby. When I dropped out, she tried to love bomb me via email. Love bombing is a manipulative technique that involves showering someone with excessive affection, attention, or compliments to control them. Not long after the email, when my parents called the school about the delay in removing me from the records, my guidance counselor told us that my academic support teacher wanted to know when I was coming back, not if, when. She didn't take my choice seriously, and that's not even mentioning that my parents spent over $340 in extra classes she recommended because the school scheduling led me to being behind in credits. Or the fact that I had a senior project I knew nothing about because no one told me. Or the fact that hundreds of hours of my work were stolen. This entire experience has made me terrified of school and long-term commitments. I have PTSD. I gained over 150 pounds. I got my first gray hair when I was 13. I'm now at high risk of suicidal and self-harm tendencies. These issues affect millions of people around the world regardless of age. I'm not the only one. Let's hear the other speakers' stories. How are your guys' experience in school?
Well, my experience, in contrast, was largely positive for both me and my family.
You're so lucky.
We are extremely grateful for the fantastic people we met during my academic years. Most negative experiences came from outside influences that we had no control over or were unaware of. My teachers offered tests that could be repeated. They had days where I could come in early to get help, and my IEP was followed to the letter. And even when I started struggling a lot more in math during my junior year, my math teacher told me about a tutor that could help, and they did. Sadly, not all schools are like this, if Leaf's experience didn't make that evident. But if you could take anything away from my experience, is that there are schools that are learning to accommodate different learning styles and are willing to listen. But there are still plenty of areas we could improve in.
High five. That was awesome. Yours too. Pardon me, I'm a mover, so I'm gonna come where there's a little
I have to
space
constantly move too, you
for
probably
me to
noticed
move.
that.
There's a guy I know, shown on
I
the
know.
picture.
That's what I thought the first time I saw it.
And so you probably saw my born last name, Bernard, as an artist, advocate, and stepping into my own that I'm autistic. I literally came to be. So those first 2 letters of my last name, I don't know if I chose them or if they chose me. This is a cool story, this coat.
Did you paint that?
It's called the Walking Gallery. You can look it up online. There'll be a chance for questions and answers afterwards, and I'm gonna do a real truncated bit, and then leave more space for your, so you can tell me why you came, who you're thinking of, what's your story and stuff. My message is, I think, encapsulated in 3 points. Less, more, university, LMU. Except U is not university, it's unexpected. So my first message is that the way that ADHD or anxiety or PTSD or ASD or autism are one of the main ways that it affects me has to do with prioritizing or filtering or sorting or the inability or the sometimes great difficulty to prioritize, sort, and filter. Therefore, if it can be less, that would be great. Let me anchor into a clear, short, salient, whatever's going on. But here's the thing. Then I'm going to get interested in something once I get that. And then I'm going to want more. So whatever my interest happens to be performing arts. I'm a poet, I'm a singer, I'm a songwriter, I'm a presenter, I'm a facilitator. Okay? But maybe it's that Silicon Valley, classic autism kind of thing, and I want to do coding and HTML or something else. Maybe
Or you're like me and have over 60 special interests. Sorry for interrupting.
Maybe it's canines or whatever it is. And so if you can, after I've done, the introductory part of the syllabus or the short, clear, and then when I get into where I want more, can you be flexible for the more? And then you're going to go, oh, that Brian, he's into aeronautics. That's his thing. He's all about flights and rockets and stuff. Okay. That comes into you, LMU, unexpected. Maybe I'm still in my early 20s or for whatever journey part of my life, and there's things I still need to explore to find out what else am I about? Why am I on this planet? So even though you're like, oh, somebody's neurodiverse, that Brian guy, let me give him less. Oh, but he likes more in this one area, maybe these 2 areas, maybe these 60 areas. But go ahead and be available for the unexpected. It's unexpected for me, and it's unexpected for you as well. But it can be fun.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, back to me. So what are some steps we can take to integrate accommodations for students and faculty with special needs? So the vast majority of these issues could have been avoided had there been proper research and full-time available help. Even something as small as listening to a student can make a huge impact. For us, our scholastic experiences would have been greatly improved if there were clear, concise, and direct communication. Leaving things open-ended causes confusion and distress. While some may be able to understand directions as, grab what you need for your experiment, some may be unsure of what exactly is wanted. Grab 1 beaker for every person in your group and 1 graduated cylinder for your table. They are both stored on the middle shelf of the cabinet. Notice how much more direct and clear the instructions were.
I just want to know, raise your hand if you would have been confused by grab what you need for your experiment. Exactly. So clear and concise communication is not only good for people like me, Leaf, and Brian, but also good in general. You're casting a wider net, makes your people, no matter what, are less confused. So 3 C's are going to be good.
Those 3 C's being
Clear and concise communication.
clear, concise communication. I love it. I love it. And then, even though this is what we're asking from our professors, our social workers, our support team, this is probably not what you're going to get from me. What you're going to get from me is probably tangential, tertiary, extraneous, superfluous, oblique, and I could go on because I like words. And
I ramble.
that's just how that's just how it beats. If I could do this to you, I will do it when I can. I often just...
You're describing our car ride down here. That's what it was.
Our conversation?
I kind of wish I experienced it
Yeah,
now.
it was all over the
Hang
place.
with some people that are neurodiverse and watch that conversation happening. You'll be like, wow, and it's working for them, okay?
We leapfrog everywhere.
Yep.
Go ahead, Lee.
All right. Number 2, having a discrete way to mention any struggles a student or faculty may have. I just really want to quickly say that in my sophomore Spanish class, my teacher actually gave one of these very, very, very similar, couple minor differences in it to each person in the class, and that made me really, really happy. So I'm glad I was able to find a very close copy to it again and put it in this presentation. So surveys on paper or a Dropbox where people can write their needs so they can be read and reviewed are simple ways to help those who have issues with direct communication, self-advocacy, and anxiety about vocalizing issues when in a room with others. Also, I have a script because if I didn't, I would completely stutter and freeze up.
Yep. But yeah, I really could have used a lot more of these. I really don't have the best track record with asking for help. My mother can vouch for that.
My
So-
parents can vouch for that too.
Yeah. So these would have been real helpful. I bet they existed, but I just didn't take the time to look for them.
I just want to appreciate the parents in the room. Thank you. Thank you for a lifelong of dedication. And then as a professor or the department head, or helping to put together this week for CU Boulder, thank you for being the tent pins, you know, to help scaffold and hold some of the structure together. You know, having a nice, fairly colored artistic entrance to the tent is nice, but if the pole to hold the whole thing up is wavering, that's what needs attention. So thank you for your ability to hold space.
All right, so number 3 is allowing for breaks. Letting someone step out of class, walk around for a few minutes, or just letting them stretch or move in the back of the classroom can help release pent-up and stress or energy, therefore increasing focus and overall mental health. A couple of my teachers actually did this. Sometimes they were just brain breaks where like we'd stretch or maybe do like a couple jumping jacks or like just something quick to sort of, in a way, refocus our mind and just kind of give us time to release some of the things that were pent up and just kind of give our bodies and our minds kind of a refresh.
My IEP did allow for me to take breaks, but I was actually scared of, you know, drawing everyone's attention away from what was going on to me leaving. And should I have been scared about that? Maybe, maybe not. But there's still kind of people would maybe question me, like, hey, why do you get to leave when I don't? And I would explain, I never got to explain it because I didn't really take any. Whole stigma, I didn't want to have unwanted social interaction, so really, even though it was a part of it, I never used it. So, a little bit of insight there.
Why? Why did you not use it?
I just kind of felt scared to, I guess. I didn't want to be confronted about it by other people who maybe weren't aware of what I can and can't do.
I don't want to look weird.
I don't want to look weird.
Yep.
Good way to
Something similar for me, but it also added insult to injury because I got in trouble with the dean of students. This was in middle school. I made a mistake because none of the counselors were in, so I didn't have a place to go during music class, which I was allowed to be exempt from because I was in band and also had, like, you know, very good knowledge of music and still do. And I got in trouble with him because I was sitting at the front desk because I had nowhere else to go. And back to the whole IEP rights being revoked. He revoked that right from me, and it took all my strength not to cry in front of him. So whenever I would leave a room, because his office was right next to my homeroom classroom, if I got overwhelmed in science class, which was my homeroom class, I could leave, and my teacher, he was really nice, and I'm really thankful for him. But I knew exactly what the dean of students' footsteps sounded like, and if I even remotely saw him coming around the corner, I would run back in because I was scared of getting in trouble by him again.
Did we mention intensity? Have we covered that yet? So my interest in aeronautics or 60 things or whatever, the intensity might be a lot. You might need a break from me. Let's just lay that out on the table, okay? If it's getting a bit much for you, just maybe think about what's your goal. Is your goal to just get through the end of the day? Just get through the module? okay. And then let's share that expectation. Whereas my expectation might be, I'm trying to figure out why I'm on the planet and what do I need to do for the rest of my life. I'm not trying to just get through the semester. Do you see how those might be two different at odds with each other? But if we don't call a stick or say hello to the elephant, so go ahead and have to put it in another framework about taking a break or clear expectations. When I'm weird, when I'm different, when I'm wired other, I do tend to attract certain other weirdos. That's cool. Sometimes, a lot of times. But I also do tend to repel a lot of people who are like, that guy's intense. I need a break or whatever.
Those people are no fun.
And many of those people don't directly tell me that they need a break. They just vacate the chat room or the physical room or the whatever.
They're lost.
So clarity about expectations, both for your own, checking in with your own self, and then when you can, being clear with me. I personally would rather deal straight on with some stuff, and then I can deal with it better than I'm left wondering why did they stop,
You said it to me once as, if you're kind to me, I'm gonna cling to you.
If you're kind and supportive, I'm probably gonna gravitate towards you, and then you might be like, whoa, buddy, I'm standing there, So just, yeah, let your wellness is important. If you're holding the tent up, if you're the pin, don't let me lean too heavily on you, okay? Let's be clear about it.
All right, number 4, safer decompression rooms. Adding to point 3, specialized rooms called safe spaces are invaluable tools for people with anxiety or sensory issues. All right, according to K-12 sensory rooms offer safe space for special needs by Gavin. Sorry, I'm not used to reading in an MLA format. That is NLA, isn't it?
I have no idea, but
I
think that pronunciation.
Hey, I got really good grades in language arts, no idea.
As soon as I cited it in this particular format, I immediately forgot which one it was.
It's MLA.
It is MLA.
Farron,
Thank you,
nice,
Farron.
thank you.
So sensory rooms not only help students with special needs feel more comfortable and empowered in the classroom, they may also keep them in their neighborhood schools, according to K-12 administrators. The carefully designed rooms may include dim lights to help students who are sensitive to light, weighted blankets to give them comfort, or a swing they can gently rock on to become calm, or spin in a circle for stimulation. Though be aware these rooms can be expensive and require some fairly extensive planning as well as space. The second high school I went to, which was the mental health one, kind of had a safe room, but it really was just a white room with one window.
One step away from
It was the
an
rubber
isolation
room.
Yeah.
The rubber room full of rubber rats,
The rats make me crazy.
and the rats make me crazy.
Yeah, my schools were public schools. They didn't have the space, let alone the funds, to have any of these sensory deprivation rooms. Now, I'm just saying, if I got the opportunity to swing a little bit outside of class, I would take that opportunity.
It's so fun.
I bet it is.
One of the ways that I stepped into being, as depicted on the back of this, involves dancing. This is an excerpt from a dance that I was in. Even though from some angles it looks like an intestine or something, but it's actually a profile of me during a performance, which then is encapsulated down there. Movement helps me, and having a place to take a break. I'm just going to tell you, every time I enter a room, you better believe I know where the exits are.
So that's where my pancreas went.
So you might have, it's just not a big deal to you to know about a space to relax, but it could make the difference between me participating or not. It could make the difference between, well, I'm going to enroll, but I'm going to go that first day and then I'll see. You know, normal attrition, right? Students that fade away. But Alexis and I were talking about this. It could actually be something that's less individual to one person, and it could be environmental. Now, will you know what it means to turn the lights up, or to turn the lights down, or to turn the thermostat up or down? No, you're probably not going to know it. So you may just have to, be kind to yourself, do a little trial and error. It might also work to just ask. Just ask.
All right. Number 5 is flexible time. a lot of my stress was from deadlines, and when I was unable to do my homework, I was constantly fretting about the late grades and the eventual end of acceptance periods. I'm not sure if this college has them, but acceptance periods are, after a certain period of time, many teachers would refuse the assignment and put it in as a 0, even if it was complete. And I was terrified of my poor grades because my worst fear was being held back and needing to endure another year of middle school. And I remember saying to myself, if I get held back, I'm gonna kill myself.
You okay?
Sorry, give me a sec.
Take a minute.
Take some time.
Because I wasn't gonna do it again. Come on, tissue, dang
I
it.
know, the package just not working with you.
I'm smiling because I'm so beamingly proud of Leaf for being here doing this, and I'm seeing some similar, like, got you.
You want to take a minute more?
No, I'm okay. I'm okay, I promise.
I believe you.
All right. Allowing for extra time or completely removing late grade criterias, minus, end of semester or trimester or quarter, whatever it goes by, can alleviate a lot of anxiety, and it can allow for working at a healthy pace. So, yeah.
I don't really have a whole lot to add with flexible time. I mean, I had a lot more flexible time from what it sounds like, but, it can cause a lot of unnecessary stress, like Leaf said, but more so, I want to focus. Well, actually, I don't know where I'm going with this. I just don't have a whole lot to add on. You said it perfectly, and don't really have a whole lot to add. Yeah.
Same, flexible time.
All right. Number 6, full-time counselors and other mental health workers. It's incredibly rare for any school to have full-time counselors. In addition, there is a high deficit in the amount of school counselors nationwide, and it got worse during COVID. Resources are stretched thin, and it leaves both students and faculty strained, exhausted, and at wit's end. And unfortunately, of all the criteria listed, this is likely the hardest to fulfill. I mean, ideally, a snap of a finger would just make thousands of enthusiastically trained professionals show up. Oh, wait, there they are. Oh, you guys are late to the party.
I almost turned around.
All of my schools had counselors, and the numbers varied. I think my high school had the most amount of counselors. They went by alphabet. So if your name was in this part of the alphabet, I think it went by last name, I'm pretty sure, then you had this counselor, and if you were in the other, you had this counselor. Now, I actually had a completely different counselor, well, mainly someone who was outside of the counseling, but still had control over my schedule and helped me with all that. It was my IPD teacher. It stands for Interpersonal Development. Great guy, also great woman. I had 2 different ones over the course of my 4 years in high school. I care about both dearly, and they helped me during times of self-doubt. Very grateful for that.
Can you go back one slide? I just want to anchor in to make sure that I'm catching okay. Workforce capacity, I'll call that this. I think we're all coming up to, like, it's the most I can do. It's the most my department can do. It's the most my team can do. And being different, I have often appreciated people's transparency when they tell me that. Can I give you a short example? So a psychologist who originally diagnosed me on the autism spectrum once told me, she said, your autism, I think, is the main umbrella thing that's all this other stuff that you're dealing with. And you have these other mental health things. I'm going to reverse that order on your paperwork. It's going to be the mental health stuff and then the autism and some of the others. I'm doing that for the reason of insurance billing. I just want you to know that in case you see this, but that's not how I feel about you clinically. Do you see the transparency there of navigating an imperfect world? You don't have all the support and resources that you need. I don't have all the support and resources I need. And sometimes when you're clear to me about what you're up against, it is a great example for me to learn from your own resiliency, from your own plainness. Did that come across in that story? Thank you.
All right, the final point I have on here, co-creating with compassion and respect. A lot of people are introduced to any sort of difference as something to be scared of. This leads to prejudice, the spread of misinformation, and a refusal to do any research. Fear stunts the growth of knowledge and acceptance. Identifying struggles and respecting boundaries makes a much healthier and positive environment.
Yeah. I mean, even if you go back all the way to taking breaks, what was the main reason I didn't take any breaks? I was scared of being seen as weird. And that whole stigma, I mean, difference needs to be accepted. I mean, of course there are limits, you know, like if you tell me you're attracted to animals, I'm gonna look at you funny, but, wait, that was a bad one.
Wait, what?
I'm sorry,
what?
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
It's all right.
I like the improv, Dylan.
Never mind, but people are different, we need to acknowledge that they need different things, not even just as us on the spectrum, but just in general. People are different, spectrum or not. And we just need to realize, you know, they need different help. Not every teaching style works. And I think as we learn more and more about the human psyche, we're coming closer and closer to making a good environment for everyone.
That was awesome. Would you go back one?
Yep.
We're coming close to where we'll conclude and then we'll do some Q&A. But if you have a brief story, I'm interested in one. In the last week, or perhaps otherwise in life, the last week was this series of symposiums here, this conference, if you will, at CU Boulder. Has this happened? Do you have a short story that you'd like to share of a time when this worked for you or one of your students? Friend, family? Yeah, go ahead.
I shared this with my faculty and staff. So I'm the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for the College of Music here at CU Boulder, and I shared this symposium. A lot of faculty will be in spaces that they are very siloed, and they do not look at the emails of
Physical space?
Yeah, like in the building that we are in, and in their academic studies, and then their teaching, they don't read the emails. Doesn't matter who they come from.
Okay.
So I sent this out again just to let my faculty and staff know. And I had staff come up to me and they were like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing," because I have children that fall into this spectrum, and so I want to be able to learn another way to help and benefit them. And they're actually reading my emails.
I hear you. I hear you. Thank you.
It's like
Thank
when my
you for
dad
being
finally
the
reads
first.
my text messages.
And Farron, did you have a story you wanted to share?
So about like co-creating compassion and respect first?
A time that worked.
Sure.
Short story?
Do I need to stand up or?
However is good on your body.
Well, I mean, you love to be the center of attention, so.
Yeah, as you know.
You guys got to take this on the road.
Yeah, we really do.
Siblings, for those of you.
Yeah, if no one can see me, probably not. Hi, I'm Farron. I'm the proud sister of Leaf. I'm the older one. Everyone thinks I'm the younger one for some reason. But anyways, I used to be a peer advocate leader, or a PAL, that is also known as a student mentor at CU Denver. I was there for about 2.5, 3 years, give or take. I had to stop because I graduated, but basically the workspace that was there was absolutely incredible. We had a lot of people who worked there who were also very neurodivergent. I cannot say if I'm one of them or not, but who knows?
I think you have ADHD.
Well, that would explain a lot. But anyways, there are a lot. We were always constantly taught that, every student is going to be different. We actually had one-on-one meetings with students as requirements for the classes that we were a part of. We weren't actually TAs, teaching assistants. We just helped mentor first year and transfer students through their first year of college, and it was probably the best job I've ever had, at least so far. But anyways, we would always make sure to check in with students, and if they had any mental health issues or physical health issues, we would bring them the resources or send them to the people that would help them, as we weren't trained professionals in any way, we were just mentors. But it was just a really cool thing to be able to help students who may also be neurodivergent as well, and share our experiences through college. And it was just a really cool program, and I'm incredibly grateful that CU Denver had that, and a lot of other programs are starting to pop up in different campuses as well. So
Nice.
I'm just very grateful that I got to be a part of something like that.
Thanks,
Thank
Gavin.
you. In that story, I heard check-in.
Yeah.
Check-in, that co-creating empathy
Uh-huh.
and respect is checking in. And it's different in different spaces at different times with different souls that you're in front of. It may not just be reading off the land acknowledgement, you know? It may not just be saying, feel free to tell me your pronouns. You may actually have to be present to whoever's there and whatever's presenting itself. And then see what you can do to adapt. Because we mentioned be flexible, but hold me accountable. Don't let me get away with, you know, because I'm on the planet too, and I gotta be successful out here in reality.
Yeah. Actions speak louder than words. Take initiative. Ask what people need. In fact, I'm going to ask again, all of you in the audience, do you guys need anything? If you need anything, need to do anything, take a break, just do it. Let us know if you need to. Just don't be afraid to do it. This is actually some of my art. You also saw some of my art earlier. I actually did this for a digital design class. It's actually cropped, but yeah, I just figured it was really sort of appropriate with how feeling sort of alone and not having that sort of space and that sort of feeling of having compassion given to you, even if you are trying your best to, you know, be compassionate back, just kind of feels. A lot of times I would just sit in my room like this, and then my cats would come over and lick my tears, which would make me feel better because they're spiteful. Nah, Simon just doesn't know how to cover up his turds and throws up everywhere.
I have that problem myself.
Crazy night, to tell you what.
And Mochi wants to steal everyone's food.
You guys.
Is that all?
We good?
I think so.
To you, dear audience, we left this cushion space at the end for you to tell us a story, ask a question, make a
Oh,
comment.
look, it's more of my art.
Gavin,
totally didn't
correct me
put
if
this
I'm
in on
wrong.
purpose.
So folks online can send you in the chat, right?
Yes.
And do they have the ability to unmute?
I am going to allow them to unmute
And
themselves.
then maybe they can raise their electronic hand or otherwise get their attention. If you could help moderate if we have more than one voice wanting to go at the same time.
Yeah, so those of you on Zoom, if you would like to raise your hand to unmute or send questions in the chat, I will prioritize those with raised hands, and then I will relay those on the chat, but we'll also prioritize questions or comments in the room.
And I'll just acknowledge one more thing. So I brought this opportunity to Leaf months ago and suggested that we write an abstract to participate in this. And then from there on, I really didn't do much, and Leaf created this entire presentation, including the 7 bullet points and the slide deck. And you have some specific things about the slide deck too that I think.
Apparently I'm really good at making people cry.
But you had some considerations that you taught me about just like the slide deck and how it was built that we took that I'd love for you to share.
The black background and the slow transition, the fade.
Mhm.
The black backgrounds, I've heard this from a lot of people, and when I started using it myself, I literally just said to myself, oh, I can see why they use this. This is so much better. Having a dark background with white text, I don't know if it has something to do with the negative space, but it's easier to read, and it seems to be
I'm okay. Thanks for checking.
It seems to be easier on the eyes, at least for me. I mean, think of all the apps that have dark mode now. I know a lot of times there's also automatic dark mode for like when it's dark out, and you know you don't want to burn your eyes out when you're checking your phone in the middle of the night. And the transitions, they're something that I've used for a while because they kind of help your eyes, at least my eyes, sort of shift focus without there being a sudden jump to the next slide. So it gives your eyes a second to reset and prepare. Really? You're showing these now?
Love.
I put these in so no one would see them. Why are you doing
That's
this to
why
me?
you put them in. I didn't realize.
The final slide is just Mudang the pygmy.
Oh, yeah,
hippo.
how could I forget? I'm sorry. That was the best
And
one.
also that one's my dog.
Right. But really kudos to Leaf who drove this presentation. And Dylan and Leaf have participated this year in our Autistic Mentors Group, which is a new group at Children's Hospital Colorado, where we have a bunch of young adults who are sharing about their experience
Are
and
we just leaving
helping.
the hippo up now?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's my preferred
Do you have
background.
contact info as a last slide?
No.
No? Okay.
But I'm happy to send that out. And Brian was a co-facilitator of that group this year. And so that's our story.
And we want to keep it going. This was a launch of Autistic Youth Mentors that included these two and some others. So if you think you have a platform, a stage, an audience where this presentation or something like it could be repurposed, please get my contact info or Dr.
Yeah.
Cohen, my colleague, out of Children's Hospital Colorado. We want to keep it going. We would like them to mentor the next cohort and then
Yeah, I wouldn't
create
mind
a
doing that.
sustainable.
Okay, now we'll stop
Also-
talking and see if there are questions.
Hang on real quick. Thank you to Lynn for giving me these tissues because she was at the dress rehearsal. Is it safe for me to sit down for now? All
I
right.
think it's safe, for sure.
All right, yeah, so we have a question in the chat. So what advice do you have for parents navigating an imperfect public educational system that doesn't really get it? How do I get help? How can I help make the school experience better for my child, specifically around middle, high school, college? Feel free to reach out later.
I feel like you'd have a good answer for that, Dad.
Oh, yeah, I can speak to that. You definitely need to make the school aware of the situation if they aren't already, and get all individuals involved, not just the person that they're dealing one-on-one with. So that would be the school administrators, it would be the school board, it would be the district. All people need to be included. And if things aren't happening, if they're not being met legally, you take it to the next level. For the student side, you just need to hear. You need to be there, you need to listen, you need to be available, and you need to talk through the situations, and whenever possible, do group meetings with the school and the child at the same time. That's what we did. I don't know if it's the perfect way, but it definitely
Kept me alive.
it kept her alive, and it got results for the school, Cherry Creek School District as well. They made some big changes after just our experience, so.
I
hopefully
start
it moves forward.
revolutions.
Alexis, did you want to add anything to that? Like people contacting your DHE and I, is that appropriate at the college level?
At the college level, yes, but most universities, all universities have.
The Office of
Disability Services.
Inclusion
kind
or
of what is
whatever.
a blanket, and then parallel to that would be, any given academic units, diversity, equity, and inclusion
Okay,
space.
okay.
As well as the Office of Institutional Equity and
Yeah.
Compliance.
Say it again?
Office of Institutional Equity and Compliance. It's,
Institutional equity and compliance. Okay, wow. Personally, I would have, if I was who's asking right now about a parent and say, hey, how do I do this? And then you got what Brett said and what Alexis said and what Gavin just said, I'd be like, I'm out. I'm not up for none of that. So I'm gonna add on that, get a buddy to join with you, gather your tribe. Maybe that's other parents. Go ahead. You want to speak to that, Madonna?
Oh, no, I just think that's a great thing to add in because you're very correct. A parent's own anxiety about their child or even their own personal anxiety, meaning double.
I'm looking at you, Mom.
Yeah, I know.
She's acknowledging.
Yeah, I think the idea of a tribe, having maybe other parents, having those people in your corner to help you support your child, and vice versa, you help them, I think is a huge step. And also, it's a good, actually, like a good baby step, in the way that then once you get, I think, yourself feeling where you need to be, then that's when you can help others.
It may sound counterintuitive, like I'm trying to help my kid. What do you mean help myself? You got to help yourself, because how can you be good and on deck? How can you help somebody who's dehydrated and you also are dehydrated?
I just give the water to them, who cares?
We know that about you, Leaf.
And then, more fun question, Leaf, do you have a web page where people can find your art?
I do, but it is outdated.
Are you willing to share it?
It has my dead name in it, that's also the problem.
Oh, okay.
Okay, maybe we
But-
can say coming soon.
Yeah, I can do a different webpage with a different provider, because Weebly does not like images. It made it so difficult, I actually had to scrap a lot of art that I wanted to show.
TBD.
Thank you, art
TV.
fans,
Yeah.
for asking.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Other final questions, comments?
Oh yeah, real quick, did you paint that on your jacket?
No. I told the story to the artist who painted it.
Oh.
Any other
Forget
thoughts?
I see it, I see
Yeah.
it.
I don't have a question, I just wanted to say thank you so much. You make me so emotional.
Yeah.
I have an autistic 5-year-old, I'm also a professor in the astrophysics department, and we are very happily a big bunch of neurodiverse people. That's a really awkward way to say it. I was at Temple Grandin's talk, and she was joking that we didn't have a physics department. It's very much true for my research group. And anyway, it was wonderful to get to hear your voices. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
And huge shout out to the faculty coming.
Can someone repeat what she said? I'm sorry, hearing impaired and on Zoom.
Right. Would you care to repeat it in the microphone, which I don't know where that is?
It's just here. I mean,
Here.
That microphone that looks like a
Paraphrasing is
You want me to
fine.
do it for you?
Go ahead, Bren.
So one of our attendees said, just thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing y'all's stories. I'm faculty in the astrophysics department, and many of us are pretty weird. Even Temple
No,
Grandin,
really?
even Temple Grandin was here recently saying there wouldn't be a physics department without the autism spectrum. And also shared was the personal story of having a 5-year-old in your family who's on the autism spectrum. So thank you. And you didn't hear this online, but it was touching. And also, as she's speaking, she's like, pardon me, just getting a little emotional here as I share this. So it matters, your story, it matters.
And if anyone is interested, our Autistic Mentors group has another open public event on November 14th, which is at main campus at Children's in Aurora. And I'm happy to send the info out to Gavin to distribute, but that is open for families, professionals to come and hear. We have 7 mentors on the panel who share about their experience and then are available. That's where Leaf has a whole table of their art to show off.
Can we display a QR code?
We could if I put it in the,
But it's not on this computer?
no.
Oh.
Oh,
Could
actually,
we-
maybe it
could-
is.
Could you even open up a Word document and just type out your email and my email
I should
address?
probably just start like an art
then-
blog
I
or
think
something.
it'll probably get to people easier if I send it
Through
to
Gavin,
Gavin and then
okay.
he sends it out.
All right.
Yeah.
and then,
I just don't know where to start.
Okay, so if you're interested in coming to hear more stories, there's in person at Children's Hospital down in Aurora, but
And there's also a Zoom.
is also an option for
Yeah.
hybrid audience.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of folks that were parents of somebody younger. They just wanted to see what is life going to be like later, because they're so full of all these fears, and now they get to hear some facts intermingled in all those fears. Yeah. And that works for when you're a parent and they're the 5-year-old, but also works when you're 35 years old and you're like, I've been weird forever. Do I need to, is this, damn.
It was mental illness this whole time.
Thank you all so much for coming
Thank you so much.
and supporting us, and you guys killed it.
Yes, thank you all for presenting.
You may stand.
You may stand and clap for me.
No, for themselves.
But so
Thank you.
in 20 minutes, the
can't
next
do a
session
curtsy,
is
it's
creating an inclusive University of Colorado Denver campus, modeling a network approach for change. I hope to see some of y'all there. Thank you.
Are you guys
And I
bowing?
will close
Yeah.
the Zoom session.
I tried to curtsy, it's kind of hard in this dress. I love this dress so much.
Let's get a picture.
Yeah, let me get a
Wait,
picture.
actually,
Oh,
let's
yeah.
go with that white background. That would be better.
You
or
and
this
your
white wall.
background.
Because